3,
The show
2,
where Adam...
1. 3, 2, 1. Hey guys, welcome to Trinity Force Podcast. We started at 6:52 on Audacity. That's for Lance Fur and everybody else that's listening live. You didn't hear the 6 minutes previous to this where we were about to start the show and I spilled my beer all over my keyboard and I'm like cussing and saying fuck, and I realized that the live stream wasn't actually like broadcasting into the audio. Like they could hear you but not me, and like it was.
So how was the home brewing overlay projected? That's what I want to know.
It looks like you didn't even spill
when I
anything.
went to Twitch, it had the home brewing. It's like, okay, here's the
I got another
kettle.
beer.
And, yeah.
You just had a side beer ready.
No, Mary was actually coming down with a beer, and she
hero.
heard me yell, "Fuck! I spilled my beer!" So she brought a towel.
Oh, well, yeah, keep her.
Yeah, right. Good girlfriend.
Yeah.
No, Punch, the homebrewing overlay actually has like 3 cameras set up on it, and then it has like the list of what I'm putting in it, and then it's pretty elaborate. It says like homebrewing with Pone at the top.
It's definitely fancier than the last time I've seen it.
What, with nothing on it?
Yes.
Did you actually see it?
I did.
Oh, okay. So you have.
I don't know. It was like was it last summer or longer?
It was longer.
It was a while ago.
Yeah, I haven't live streamed the homebrew in a while. So guys, welcome to Trinity Force Podcast. That's what happened. I spilled my beer. The entire show got off to a great start, and I don't even know what happened. But you know what? For that fuck up, Sean is here this week.
Hey, I made it. I'm the first person.
He didn't say first and foremost, so it doesn't count. You're not first. You're not actually first.
I'm back from sunny Florida.
You don't look that much tanner.
No, I'm not. Which is sad because I spent a lot of time in the sun, but that 70 FPS sunscreen is pretty real. Apparently.
FPS?
FPS.
You have
Wait,
frames per second. So it's
SPF.
SPF.
There it is. God, I've missed gaming so much I can't think of anything else.
Mitch is here. You can hear him, and Punch is also here.
Yeah,
Yep.
I gotta do this again because I fucking did a Smirnoff right when we started this because I'd found one like an hour before the podcast. Drank it, Pone fucked up. Then I said, I wonder if I could find another. Opened one drawer on my desk and found another one instantly. So,
The Smirnoff gods.
Yep.
They're here for you.
I hate you.
Or your friends.
Or your friends,
Actually hate
right?
you.
Well, there you go. He's drinking it all down again, and yeah, that's how we start the show, by drinking more Smirnoff Ice. We approve of alcohol, as you can see.
yeah, it's great.
Can we stop burping into the microphone, please? You did it last week too.
Disgusting human being.
God,
I mean, I can mark when it happened, but I'm not going to.
you should, because I listened to the intro last week and it was like, blah! I was like, oh my god. I was like, that is so gross. Like, no one wants that in their earplugs.
All right, I'll put that in.
No one wants to hear you burp like they're driving.
You don't know what people like.
They've got.
You don't know what people like.
They've got their kids in the car. They're listening to us, and you just hear it.
People are listening to us with kids.
I know,
How
right?
irresponsible are they? They deserve that burp. Those
terrible.
people listening with their kids deserve that burp.
Isn't it part of chugging the ice, too? That's what I figured.
Yeah, I
you
thought
have
that was like a
to
rite
release-
of passage.
You release the demons
Oh.
that come with that.
Well, let's talk about releasing demons, as we talk about Poppy in the top lane, because she is the demon child. I tried.
Yeah, that's all right.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it wasn't my best. Yeah, we want to talk about Poppy the top lane. We want to talk a little bit about Malachi. We want to talk about some 80 carries buying Swifties now. And I want to also talk about just Swifties and how the game has evolved and like my take on this, more so than like what people say with the meta and stuff, because I think there's more to it than just Swifties being really good. I also want to talk about a little bit about Kog'Maw. We can talk about Tristana with Rageblade. I'm kind of going off a bunch of notes here. And we can also try to get around with some Strength of Ages talk, Grasp of the Undying, and some other of the masteries. So we have a wide gambit of topics to talk about. If we don't get to them all, we will. Side note, on Wednesday, Skyen's coming on the podcast, by the way, and we're going to talk Taric that day with Skyen, just like we did with Aurelion Sol. So if you enjoyed that show, you hopefully will enjoy Wednesday as well. So there we go. Let's talk about Poppy the top lane, because since the nerfs to Poppy, she has gone down to a 47% win rate out of top right now. And I think Punch had a bunch of little things to say about Poppy as he's played quite a bit about her. So if you don't mind, Punch.
Oh, sure. Yeah, she's at about 47.5 right now. So I played Poppy over the weekend, partially for science and partially because I have a limited champion pool in my Smurf account. So that's all I could play. But anyways, I had a few games with her. Really the results aren't too surprising. We expected her to take a dip down, but how the nerfs changed her, I guess we're kind of different. The range in your charge really doesn't matter in laning phase because most of your opponents are melee, but the flat damage reduction really does, and the passive not resetting your auto attack timer really does. Both of those combine to really weak trades, especially against tanky champions, which you wouldn't think as much because she got the extra increase percentage on her Q for scaling, but that doesn't really come into effect until they have 3k health. That's when it's going to make up the difference for the flat damage loss. So the entirety of the laning phase, if you're laning against a tank, and let's just say Mundo, for example, because that was one of the matchups I had, you're going to have a really hard time pushing him out of lane, or Maokai, or again, anyone tanky. Trundle was actually a really good counter door too. So that's kind of that was one of Poppy's win conditions, is pushing somebody out of lane. And now that she loses all that flat damage, she has a really hard time doing that. And then the range comes into effect outside of lane. So whenever you're ganking, whenever you're roaming, whenever you're just trying to flank the back line for team fights, you can feel that range loss. That happened a few times for me where I was spamming charge because I thought it was in range and I was just outside of it. So again, nothing too surprising. I've still seen people have success with Poppy. I had one game where I did pretty well with her, but you have to work harder to get that success. I think she has a pretty good win rate for people with a high number of games played on her. So you can still make it work.
I can't imagine that high number win rate games would have gone, that even that win rate would have gone down too much, over what has been like probably a week and a half.
I mean, according to Champion.gg, this looks like an anomaly, but over 100 games played, you're approaching 60% win rate, which is a huge increase when you start at.
That's enormous.
And yeah, when her average is
that's like
47.5.
finding the hidden cheat code to a champion after 100 games and just being like, okay, I know exactly what I'm doing. I'll never lose again.
Well,
I mean, especially considering I don't think she has a lot of good matchups. I feel like she actually has more counters than good matchups, and maybe that's just me having not enough games played on her. Maybe if I play more and I approach the 150 games played, then I would say, oh yeah, I know when to pick Poppy. But right now, I just don't see it. I don't know when I would want to pick her really.
I don't think it's the winning matchups that would give you that crazy win rate in like a ton of games played, because she still is averaging less kills than deaths. I know that number obviously will change when you get up to a higher, like to that ridiculous win rate, but I think it might be more about the uncoordinated teams can get really messed up by good ultimates from her in those mid game, late game team fights. Like she can single handedly win a team fight by knocking somebody completely out of a fight.
That's assuming that she can stun somebody though in that team fight. I played against the Poppy.
Why would she need to stun somebody when she can knock 1 to 2 people out of the fight?
She needs to be able to stun somebody into a wall. Let's say, here, I'll give you an example. Okay, I played against the Poppy as Maokai the other day, and to the point of for Punch playing Poppy, I think that the more skilled you are as Poppy, the better you're going to do against those champions that look like they have a 50% win rate with her, because I think that she's super skill reliant. I would end up winning trades when I got a Sheen or Iceborne Gauntlet. Like even items, if I had a potion, I could stay in lane even as Maokai having my healing, right? But she was able to push the wave more quickly than I could because her spells cost less than mine do. Plus she's a little
She also probably pushed Sunfire too.
Yeah, I mean we both had Sunfire, but she's able to push the lane and trade with me thanks to her E. Because in lane you can pretty much get that E on any wall, so that's free damage. So that's where that skill matchup comes into play. Like she's going to try to force me to walk down toward the bottom of the lane so she can get me into a wall, right? Or she's going to try to walk me toward a bush and put a ward in the bush and slam me there. If she gets to slam into that, more than less even trade. It can either even or she come out ahead. So lane is kind of like boring. But what I'm talking about is when we move into mid and late game team fights, a lot of those in solo queue devolve into Arams. And this one team fight I'm thinking of specifically, I wish I'd just throw the Plays TV up if I could, but I didn't have it running, is that they had to have Echo and Poppy. They had Echo, Poppy, Nautilus, and so one of the three had to engage the fight. And because the Poppy couldn't slam our Callista into a wall because we were in the mid lane and there wasn't enough range to get her into one of those side walls anymore, that extra 100 range, she either had to walk closer or Callista had to be standing. Well, she had to walk closer to Callista to get that slam in the wall. Made it so she couldn't engage as well. But to Serial Box's point is that the ultimate knocking us out of the fight did turn the tides a couple times. So it's more of like, how much can you do in those few seconds you have, and can you make that stun count now? Because if you can't get somebody into a wall, specifically a carry or a support or something that's going to disrupt the team fight, then it's a lot harder to play Poppy in any kind of team fight or skirmish scenario.
I was actually thinking about that Trundle matchup you were talking about, Punch, real quick, and I didn't remember that she gets just flat armor and magic resist percentage, and that gets doubled at like below 40% health. And so like a duel that happens post level 6 just turns into get low, get low for a little bit, like you get her to 40% health, that doubles, then you ult them. Like that's a stupid amount of extra like surprise armor magic resist you're getting, in addition to just turning a fight usually anyways. Because I didn't think how good that was.
She is still really, really tanky.
Oh, yeah.
But yeah, I mean, even not factoring in Trundle's ultimate to take her resistances away, he can just club her around in the landing phase. Like he actually trades really well with her.
I can imagine he does, and he's sustaining up. I have to imagine that she pushes against him going into like the middle of the
push
lane
against
phase.
him.
Yep.
And the issue is too, if the Trundle starts to do anything tricky early and his jungler is not there when Poppy's jungler shows up, he's gonna end up in a bad spot, especially if he uses pillar aggressively. I've been playing a lot of Trundle top right now, and that matchup is super dependent on who makes the first mistake, because whoever fucks up first is gonna have a bad time till Trundle 6, and then once Trundle 6, it's like, okay, whatever, I'm just gonna do what I want from there on out. But even still, like if Poppy can get ahead slightly early, it's gonna put off Trundle's ability to buy items, and he needs like 1 or 2 items before he can actually do anything in fights other than just steal armor and magic resist.
Can you slam into the pillar?
No, you can't use it to your own the enemies.
Well,
your
you can't
teammates
walk. You can't walk through the pillar. You can't walk through the pillar as Trundle. Could she slam you
I was
into
actually wondering that. I don't know.
That'd be interesting.
I know you could do it for an ally's pillar. I don't know about enemy.
Yeah, I don't know. That'd be really funny, interesting counterplay if they like she gets you get around the pillar and Trundle follows you and you slam them into the pillar.
Does it say it
I would
creates
try it
impassable?
once.
Does it say it creates impassable terrain?
I mean, it technically does.
I mean, it is impassable terrain.
I'm curious. I don't actually know the answer to that because I think that'd be an interesting interaction.
It sounds like it would work.
I'll look something up real quick, but I don't want to like spend too much time on one specific matchup either.
Yeah, I know we're talking about Poppy. That's just the overview of Poppy. I still think she's pretty decent in solo queue. I'm under the mindset that just about anything can be decent if you have enough games on it. So you might as well just keep throwing your face.
Play
into
what
it
you
if you're
play.
good.
Yeah.
I'm done blind picking her. Feels like I can count it every time.
Yeah,
Can't take it.
top lane is kind of rough in that regards. There's not that many champions you can just blind pick unless you're like really good with the champion. Like we see Rivens, they can blind pick Riven, or they can blind pick Darius and anything. I've seen some Dariuses just wreck face really hard.
Yep.
But like if I get down to like last pick when I'm playing top lane, I do like the top lane is kind of turning into a skill matchup now. And I wonder if that's just the natural progression of the game and more people playing top lane than it is the meta. Like, there's nothing out there that is absurdly overpowered. Like, you can argue what Echo is at 56% win rate, I think.
It was 56 last night.
Yeah.
Which is ridiculous.
You can argue that Echo...
57.7.
Yeah. You could argue Echo is, like, on that edge of absurdly overpowered and just winning all the time. But I still think that I know that you still have to be skilled with Echo to make that work. You can't just pick up Echo and win the lane. There's too much to his kit to allow that to happen. So,
Echo Poppy seems like one of those skill matchups. You played that over the weekend.
It is. It's a skill matchup. I think it was one of those where if I would have killed Poppy when she walked away with 100 life, I would have snowballed the lane in my favor. But because she came back with some items, I couldn't turn it around. Like I couldn't get ahead of her on items thanks to the passive armor magic resistance she's receiving. Plus W is like just a big ass cock block pain in the ass.
Oh, on Echo, that's gonna be terrible.
If she
because it's so telegraphed. Every single time you tumble, you do a vein tumble. Suddenly it's like, well, I guess I'll throw out my W.
Or you're trying to run away from her, or she's chasing you down.
Either, yeah. Wait, does it block the blink?
Yeah, you can't get out of it. Like if you're in the W and you press E, you can't you can't.
Well, I know that tumble would automatically get stopped, but I'm wondering like if you whatever it is, phase disruption or something. If you do that and then the second part where you would jump automatically,
I would think
does
it
that
would.
get blocked?
That's a dash.
I don't know if it acts as a dash though. It looks like an instant thing, kind of like
I think that still gets blocked.
It might. I
Doesn't Lee Sin Q get blocked? Like when
Oh
he's
well, yeah,
flying
but that's not an instant dash though. That's not like Ezreal E. Ezreal E is
I'm
just
pretty sure it still gets blocked.
I think so. But yeah, that's a nice like two-parter that Poppy just shuts down with a simple W.
I want to move this and talk because I'm really excited to talk about Swifties and ADCs because I think it's a really unique conversation. I think Swifty Boots in general are a really unique conversation. Because I was thinking about this a lot last night, and this is the point I wanted to bring up, is we've been seeing, I'm just going to say it, we've been seeing a lot of Swifties being purchased lately because of the extra move speed that it provides. I actually need to bring up the stats in front of me. I don't have that ready because of the whole computer keyboard going.
Go for it. Go for it, boss.
Boss. Okay, so Swiftness boots provide a flat 60 movement speed, and then they have the reduced effectiveness of slows. And to the point of ADCs buying it, there's a lot of slows in the game right now. A lot more, there's a lot of slows, a lot of stuns. But if you get stunned, you're pretty much dead anyway. That's why a lot of people would buy Berserkers before, plus the price. But like, what is it? Echo W slows, Victor Gravity Field slows. What am I thinking of? Nautilus E slows, Gragas slows with his Q. I can keep going on and on here.
Slows are the most
the slow creep
frequent.
Yeah.
Well, they have to be the most frequent kind of thing because they're the least effective. Like stuns are way more effective, knockups are more effective. You can't just add in more hard CC. Hard CC creep would be way more different for the game. It'd be crazy if everyone just had
It'd be
like
Dota.
if you had exactly. If you had like 5-second CCs like Dota, then it would just be hard
Iceborne
CC.
Gauntlet.
Yeah.
Iceborne Gauntlet,
everyone.
thank you.
Yeah, like Iceborne Gauntlet from Dota. Oh wait, that's in League of Legends. Crap.
But to my point, this is going back to a conversation we had probably around between episode 250 and 300. Maybe even 200 to 250. A long time ago when we had Dom on the podcast. That was more like episode like 200 to 250. We probably had this conversation. And that's, he would always talk about how he valued move speed. And I ended up, after talking to him a number of times, agreed with him. I started valuing move speed. I even made pages that had move speed quints on them. And, excuse me. The move speed, I wonder if the move speed creep coming into the game with people buying Swifties is a product of people evolving how they're playing the game rather than the more slows and more stuns and whatnot being available, because more people are learning how to position better in fights and realize that moving faster in fights gets you to the area that you need to go to next more quickly to use your next ability. So my point is, I think no matter what people say, you can dissect it one way or another, but I really do think that it's just like it's people understanding how to play League of Legends better and understanding how much positioning and mobility means, and getting that on any person in this game is better than the extra stats you would receive.
So on the AD carry side, I think Swifties are also in part a product of what items are being bought, particularly 2 Zeal items. You're usually seeing 2 Zeal items on auto attack focused carries. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So you're getting a lot of attack speed through those. So you don't really need the Berserker attack speed, and you're also getting movement speed from both of those items, which is going to be compounded with the increased movement speed on Swifties. So you're kind of getting a double bonus there.
And that's I know there's the point of that where there's a lot of attack speed coming in through items right now. Hurricane, rapid fire cannon. There's U-moves you can pick up that give you a burst of move speed, etc. Like you can pick up these items. They're not necessarily ADCs buying them all the time, but they're items that are available to ADC to buy, and they're all very good depending on the point in the game. So that's one of the main reasons a lot of people will point to of why we're building Swifties a lot now. But I find myself building it more because I like to be able to reposition myself again in any kind of team fight. Being able to, like Maokai, being able to Swifty walk towards somebody to get that next W off is more important to me than having reduced teleport time.
I think so my thoughts on this are that there were a few schools of thought in Boots, like I'm not going to talk to the ADC point because I think Punch kind of covered that pretty well. But for top laners, for like everyone's buying Swiftness boots frequently. Mobies were really popular on supports and on some junglers for a while till they got the base. I think it was the base speed was nerfed pretty hard. Like so, you went down to Boots 1 speed when you're in combat, which is pretty terrible. And then Mercs got nerfed really hard. Like they went for it's come back up. It's now down up to I think 30%. Yeah, it's back up to 30%, not quite to the 35 it used to be. Ninja Tabbies were really popular in top lane if you were against auto attack focused champions. Not really the case anymore. It's not in the meta. And so I think that Mercs give you the same kind of benefit that Mobies do in that slow creep kind of game that's happening. You're getting the same amount. You're getting more movement speed, not as much tenacity on the harder CC, but it's not really as important when there are kind of elongated team fights in a tankier meta. And then you get, again, more move speed, and they're cheaper. Like you have all these benefits that that Swiftness give over everything else that it seems really like counterproductive to buy anything else.
Yeah. Yeah, Swiftness is my boots of choice in top lane, although I'm still going to get Mercurial Scimitar against multiple stun teams. Sorry, Mercurial Scimitar. Boots. I can't talk. Treads.
Mercury's treads.
Thank you. Yeah, I'm still making that decision each game, but leaning towards Swifties. I think cooldown reduction boots are probably the only other ones that are seeing a lot of play too, but that's not necessarily for the roles that we're talking about.
Yeah. The only two boots I find myself really buying are Swifties and Boots of Lucidity. I buy Boots of Lucidity a lot on like Malphite because I want that extra 10% CDR. Anybody that I need my ultimate or I need something to be up just a little bit more quickly than it is, I'll buy Lucidity.
I'll get them on Kennen.
Kennen's, yeah. Do you like
cooldown
that?
Cooldown reduction is on a premium for him.
I can definitely see that.
But
So
where else?
see, I don't really buy cooldown reduction on him. I know it'd be really good for his ultimate, but having his other abilities up more often doesn't do
It's
him any
really good for W too. In lane, you can actually proc W twice when they've got passive procs on them.
Sure, but you're still gated by your energy. That's the only thing that stops me from buying it.
Well, the more you stun, the more energy you get back too.
That's fair. That is a fair point.
No, I agree. Those are the two that I want to see what they'll do with some of those because it took forever. Like Swifties were completely out of the game for so long, and I don't mean they were removed from the game. Just no one bought them.
Right.
For probably a full 2 seasons, I want to guess, and it might be longer or shorter. I'd give it plus or minus a season.
There were 3 champions that would buy him. Like you'd see them on Udyr and maybe Nasus, and like that was it.
So sticking champions, which is kind of what the meta's gotten a little bit more towards, is like you got to stick to somebody and deal damage for a long period of time, but you don't die, but you're still doing like Echo. We're talking about Poppy. Like those kind of champions benefit so much from being able to stick and not get slowed down. Like I think like tenacity helps from like a single stun, but if you're constantly being slowed, you're going to get more from the slow resist, I guess is the technical term. I think it makes a lot of sense, and it's kind of funny that everyone finally caught up to pros playing it, and now it's like it's just core.
It's the be all end all.
Yeah, I want to see they've got to change something soon. I don't know if there's anything on PvE right now, but I feel like with how they've reacted to items that are being bought by every single person, like Zizzirots for a little bit. I guess that was technically just like 1 or 2 people, but it was every game. What they'll do to, I guess, bring the other boots up into line with them, because they're going to overtune something else, and it's going to be interesting once that happens to see. Everyone buys Mercs because it's 70% tenacity.
Yeah, they'll probably just undertune Swifties, and then that makes everyone else buy everything.
Like 50 move speed. 50 move speed would probably bring it. Like it's at 60 right now. You bring it down 10, it's still higher than the other ones, but maybe 55, maybe 55 because it's 45 for some of the other ones. You could do a lot of stuff.
It's hard to. I don't know if it needs a nerf just because you're only buying 2 boots. I mean, I guess you could nerf it by 5 move speed. Yeah, I get it. That's kind of why I'm stuttering here. Is that I get it. There's 6 of them. Not all 6 are.
Is it 6? It might even 7. I forgot about Mobies. Mobies are just so dead to me, even as a support player.
Yeah, they're 7.
Dead.
Sorry,
they're 7.
Couldn't Mobies get some love? That's what I'm thinking. Is if
Mobies
you give them a little bit of love back, they'd be.
Do we need Mobies and Swifties though? That's the question.
The thing. Like they almost
depends on what you're doing.
They feel too similar of a role right now. Other than the fact that Mobies are just too bad to use over Swifties. And before, when Mobies were the best, you would only see Mobies on the champions that would get that. And again, unless you were playing that Udyr or Nasus or a champion that needed to stick. But another piece of this is that there's a lot of sticking champions that are very, very strong right now. And that is kind of part of the inherent issue with Swifties all over the place.
Well, I don't think sticky champions are going to get Mobies.
No, they won't. No, they're buying Swifties. And that's what they were buying before.
No, the opposite is that if it's a pick meta, Mobies are amazing.
Right.
That's exactly what they thrive in. They want to be like roaming around the map, and suddenly they're in combat, and they don't lose much effectiveness out of it. But dropping from 115 move speed, which is crazy. That's very high move speed, to 25 out of combat. Losing 90 move speed is insane.
I guess,
and then you lose that for the rest of the fight. You're like,
that's what it feels like. They get some love in that department.
Yeah,
I mean, they're the reasoning behind them is you want to get there, but you fall off so hard once you actually do get there. It's not worth it at the moment.
So bump it up to 35 or 30. Bump it up to 30.
I want to see what it was before. That's from 25. It's still like I know that's good, but it's still so negligible compared to Boots 1 out of like in combat because I believe it was 45 before, and like 90 maybe was the I started typing in the mobility, and I don't know why, but
they were 45. Movement speed reduced to 25 from 45 on patch 4.3.
Ooh.
And on patch version 1, they went from 40. They went to 45 from 70, and the out of speed combat was 130.
Whoa. Okay. Sign me up for that patch.
Yes, they originally in patch 4.3 they were movement speed reduced to 25 from 45, so they went down to tier 2 boot level. That's why I say 30-35 might be the break-even point for these.
It might be. They need, if it wants to come back into.
It needs love.
Okay, sorry. It needs love, but it also needs a meta shift. This is not the meta for Mobies. It does not work when you in elongated fights. Your Alistar, who built Mobies to go do some picks, catches up, and then he gets one combo off, and then is trying to trudge along and catch up to the team the rest of the fight. It doesn't work.
And gets nothing else besides the increased move speed, which only helps really for ganking or any kind of ganking, either from bottom lane or from the jungle, any kind of roaming.
It'd actually be funny because you could say, oh, he's just going to circle around, get out of combat for a second, get his cooldowns back up, and he's back up to 115 move speed.
Right.
But that's not going to happen with an Alistar or anyone who would buy them.
Part of that roaming meta shift is what champions can be picked now, but if Mobies were buffed and people were buying them more, that could also help trigger a meta shift.
It could.
It's kind of a chicken versus the egg thing.
Well, it's the items are getting nerfed a bunch. Like a lot of the tanky items that are causing that meta. There's a lot of factors, and it's going to be interesting to see what tips it, because they're being really slow about it, and I like that because I don't like when games overtune their patches really hard, and then suddenly the game just completely takes a 180.
I think they learned no lesson about that way back in like season 3.
We'll see when the mid-season mage updates come around.
Yeah.
That is, I guarantee that's going to be a wild 2 weeks.
Oh, definitely.
It's going to be like Wild West.
Hearthstone, wild format.
That's right. We're the Hearthstone podcast now.
Oh, right. We have to talk about
they took over. They took over for us because they beat us.
That almost makes sense. Do we want to just briefly touch on like the Tristana bans and whatnot that we're seeing, at least out of the LCS?
That was just in the LCS. Yeah. I mean, a lot of people were curious about that, why it was COG banning Tristana over and over again, right? And I watched an interview afterwards just because I was curious and to see what Afromu's reasoning behind that was. And I guess there's a strong solo queue build going around with Tristana, which is getting Rage Blade and Hurricane. And supposedly that's really, really good. Haven't seen it myself. I think it's more of a high-level solo queue thing. But apparently it scared COG enough that they wanted to ban it.
Attack speed buffs. Attack speed buffs on your Q, and then you get Rage Blade real quick. And I don't know, do Hurricane procs give you more stacks towards Rage Blade?
That's what I was wondering.
That actually would make
sense. So you're shooting if you're twice stacking
and
having
fast.
Rage
The
Blade?
bolts apply on hits, don't they?
So you'd be getting 3 stacks per auto.
Yeah.
On Rage Blade? Yeah, so is that 2 like autos and you're suddenly like, well, here's all
Then
this
you're
AoE.
AoEing down
scary
an
Tristana.
entire squad.
Yeah,
Yeah.
interesting.
So assuming it does work like that, I could see how it would be scary.
Well, that's the same idea as we were discussing. We were discussing in chat about the Hurricane on auto attack 80 carries and just putting out consistent damage from safety. Tristana does that late game because of her increased range over time with her passive, and then Caitlyn, who I saw doing it a bunch, does exactly the same thing. Super long range. You're getting more Hurricane bolts, which aren't doing a ton of damage to those tanks, but again, we're talking about elongated fights in this meta. That's really good. You're not going to get a lot out of just bursting super hard.
Yeah, and the bolt stacker headshot faster.
Also that.
Yeah, no, the Hurricane wouldn't stack it because it's only basic attacks that stack Ginsu's.
But you still get attack speed off of it.
Right, the bolts can apply on hit effects, but the Ginsu's is basic attacks only.
Wait, would it apply the AoE? Would the bolts apply the AoE?
If that's considered an on hit effect.
Oh god, that would be so. I think that'd be dumb, but that'd be so scary.
You're getting like 3 AoE procs off if you're in range.
Yes, it would.
That's
Deal
disgusting.
20 on hit magic damage. That's why there you go. That's it.
Damn,
that is bonkers.
So there's your bonkers beast. It's not stacking up faster. It's just doing tons of.
It's just once you get to that point when you have like a 90% attack speed buff on your Q, then you're suddenly. I hope that number's right.
You're using more damage to instantly do way more damage.
That's fun cyclical.
Yeah.
Ramp real quick.
I need this quieter keyboard thing all the time. That was nice. I can look up little stats in the middle of the game, and it's not like tick 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 tick.
Yeah,
what
really serendipitous thing there.
I'm gonna yell at. I've actually been thinking about shipping Tally's girlfriend a quiet keyboard.
It's 110% shit.
With a note that says, "Use this during the podcast, or I'll kill you." I mean, I love you.
Wow.
I'll cross out the word "kill."
They just got a cute puppy. Don't do that.
Yeah, they got a puppy, dude.
I hope that's why he's gone today. I hope that's why
he's sick.
He said he's sick.
He's sick. Or puppy.
Puppy.
He's sick. He's sick with puppy love.
Oh.
Oh.
I'm so disappointed.
Wait, did we just go through all of the things that I thought was going to take us an hour to talk about? Because someone would be really upset.
Hold on.
So much stuff.
Oh, there's strength of mages and stuff.
Headshot.
Right.
I wanted to mention this for headshot. So the hurricane bolts for Caitlyn's headshot will trigger if those bolts hit other champions, but bonus damage for headshot does not apply on the bolts. Just want to make that clarification.
That makes sense.
Okay, what were you freaking out about?
Which part? The puppy love or?
Yeah.
Actually, Biznera. I'm sorry. There's no N where I'm saying the N. Bizerna. Thank you. Bizerna brought up a good point about grievous wounds. It's not one that I'm really comfortable talking about right now because I don't have the link in front of me. But I believe that I did read something about Riot said they're either looking into it or they're going to change grievous wounds back to what it previously was.
Which it honestly, that's going to change stuff up as well, like immensely.
Makes Maokai a lot worse.
Well, I mean, it makes a bunch of champions a lot worse.
Makes Volibear.
It makes Volibear worse. It makes Trundle worse. It makes a bunch of champions that could heal worse.
Doesn't it already apply to self-healing?
It only applies.
No, it was external healing. I mixed those up.
Yeah, it's only external healing.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Yep, you're right. Proceed.
Or no,
Which,
wait, hold on. I'm going to make sure I say this right because I know it's one or the other and I'm really...
You're paranoid now?
What do you mean?
Grievous wounds and debuff reduces self-healing. That's
only self-healing right now.
I was like, that doesn't make sense because Soraka's so goddamn strong. We all said that grievous wounds change would make Soraka fucking amazing.
Yeah. So those champions wouldn't really benefit. It was like Berserna's saying. It's more of the champions.
For the
it's the sustain supports. They're taking advantage of.
I felt it was the other way, but I'm just dumb. Whatever.
This is where we figure out our intelligence is on the podcast.
Yeah, this is where all the champions that I play, I figured that I was strong against them.
But yeah, I
strong
mean,
with them
it feels like there needs to be something added to tone back Soraka, and she just doesn't have enough counterplay right now. I mean, they can keep nerfing her until her heals do so little that's not worth picking her anymore. Or you could add a level of counterplay to it and bring back the old grievous wounds.
Wait, so Grasp got reverted a little bit, guys. It actually didn't get hit as bad as I thought. I didn't see that new change. So just for those of you who don't check PBE all the time, there was a change to Grasp where it used to read every 4 seconds in combat, It still does, but their proposed change was every 4 seconds in combat with champions, which completely defeated the whole idea of using grasp up on top lane, because you could get hit by you could auto attack a minion, get hit by some minions, and get to 4 seconds, then Gnar auto a champion and get the grasp proc.
Yep.
Thankfully, they're not changing that, or at least that's not the current PBE.
Well, since we're talking about masteries, let's talk about Strength of Ages and.
Well, let him finish.
Sorry.
change.
I just jumped right into you. Go ahead. Sorry.
Jumped into me.
Yeah.
Ooh.
Well, no. Instead, the nerf is looking like it's going from 3% to 2.5%. Still having for ranged champions, so that's still a good nerf considering. Again, we just talked about Swifties being bought on everybody. Grasp was being taken on every top laner. So, unless it was like a random Thunderlords one, which really wasn't happening too often. So good that they're targeting again the very, very popular things to make other things more viable. Help warlords, please. Go ahead, Pwn. Strength of the Ages. Let's talk about it.
The Strength of Ages discussion was a little bit more toward grasp being pretty much knocked out with the changes, but if you want to make a case for grasp or for Bond of Stone in the top lane, Mitch, that's soapbox.
You mean for Strength of the Ages? You mean?
I mean, yeah, but I like Bond of Stone personally over Strength of Ages, but we can talk about that. Look, do we want to talk about in a world where grasp doesn't exist or where grasp suddenly starts
and
becoming
tanks
worse?
are looking for the next mastery to get.
Yeah, I'm okay with that. So I ran Strength a few times as both the tanky support, namely Braum, who benefits a lot from health, or as some top laners when I either forgot to change my masteries to Grasp of the Undying, or like when they first came out and we were kind of testing around, because Strength didn't really become popular till LCS. People started playing it in jungle the whole time,
right.
like every single game now. And one thing I think that gets undervalued is everyone thinks, okay, well, every 3 waves I'll be able to get a cannon. I get my 20 health, 20 bonus health, which is nice, and it's very nice later on because you've eventually stacked 300 health. But a lot of people don't take advantage of the other options, which are you can be near, like if you help your jungler, top lane doesn't happen as much to start, but if let's say your jungler starts top side and you stay just out of experience range, you can still get extra health for free. You still get that proc anyways. You can walk down, help with scuttles if you pushed. You can do a lot of things with it that people don't like. You think, okay, I'm gonna walk down and help my jungler real quick. Maybe I'll auto the scuttler once, but you could do more things with it than just have it be kind of take a snooze and let it stack up. And 300 health isn't anything to scoff at late game, early game, anytime. Like it's free, and so I like it a lot. You also get
it's giving you regeneration late too.
The sieging power of that is very nice because it's from monsters as well. So you guys can go clear, like if your wave's gone, let's go to clear jungle camp, get some regen. I think there's a lot of things you could do with it. I don't think this grasp change will put that as it's not going to be a be-all end-all top lane mastery, but I think another nerf to grasp might, or at least this makes you consider it, another nerf to grasp might make it more contentious for the top spot.
See, I'm not thrilled about talking about this again. I just want to throw that out there for anybody listening.
Without the numbers.
Without the numbers, because I wish I would have known we were going to talk about this previously, because I would really like to look at it. But it's what? One every 3 waves, so every minute and a half you're gaining 20 life, assuming you're sitting in lane. After that, it's every 2 waves. After the 35th minute, every 2 waves a cannon minion comes out. I'm assuming that the elite minions that spawn from the inhibitor, the super minions, count toward Strength of Ages?
I don't know. Also worth noting that you do have to last hit it to get that. It's not just being around. It reads if you either kill or are near a fellow champion killing a siege minion or a large monster, you get the benefit. It's like you couldn't be near the opposing jungler killing something.
You do not get them because it's siege minion only. Large or epic monster and siege minion. Okay. So you have to have the siege minions, and then assuming an inhibitor goes down, you're not getting them anymore because there's no more. There's no more siege minions at that point.
I thought you still had them because you still have the Baron buffed cannon minions shooting from afar. I thought.
No, you have the cannon minion.
Is it replaced?
Before the inhibitor goes down.
Okay.
The fuck are those goddamn monsters called?
Super minions.
Thank you.
Wow.
Tonight. You know what? I really should have turned off that blocker.
You're tilted.
Did you pour beer on your brain too?
Yeah. It's bad. I was really hoping this would. You know what? I'm not even gonna worry about it. If my information's wrong, I apologize, guys. I'm tilted after spilling beer on my keyboard. That's how much I don't pay attention to minions after it comes into later in the game.
I mean,
but I'm fairly certain they don't spawn with them.
Oh, either way, I think there can be at least. I don't want to say that strength is a great mastery in top lane, but I think it could be good, and I think that people don't realize some of the potential you can have with it, because it seems like an auto snooze mastery if you go into lane, and no one like pro people aren't playing it, but I think that it might eventually become something useful, especially on a champion that would benefit from a lot of health. Maybe something that gets like a bunch of, I don't know, armor and magic resist for free on their W, and that doubles under 40% health. I don't know. That could be good.
What's the problem?
That's a tip. He's giving you some free advice.
I don't know of any champions that have that, nor have I talked about that during this podcast.
That'd be overpowered. They would nerf that in a second.
That'd be crazy. I mean, it's better than
yes, I was right. No siege minions will spawn. I knew it. I don't know why I couldn't be 100% confident on that. I'm sorry to interrupt the conversation.
Small victories.
But yes, small victories. I knew it, goddammit.
I mean, I do say I like that that's the under 40% health change in comparison to her old one, where she would like take half damage from anything that dealt like more than 5% of her health, 10% of her health. That was like the most counterintuitive thing since Gangplank killing your own minions.
It's just, I think I agree that Strength of Ages is just like too efficient to not consider it for top lane. But I also, when I was thinking more about it this earlier today, I think it kind of solves a different, or gives you a different strength. I mean, you kind of lose your trading potential when you take that over Grasp. So I think different champions might want to get it.
It might be kind of like in a farm heavy lane, like in bot lane. If you like in bot lane as a support, when you go on your first back and you've got 800 gold, like let's say Braum or Thresh, you weigh the options of, am I going to be roaming soon? Is it going to be a short lane? Well, Sightstone makes a lot of sense. You might also, if you say, okay, it's going to be farming for a while, you might consider instead boots and upgrading to Targons. So like you can take a look at what that kind of matchup's going to be like before the game starts and say, am I going to be in lane a long time? It might not matter to have Grasp then.
Cerna brought up Mundo, who I was thinking of for Strength of Ages. Maybe like you don't see a lot of competitive Nasus, but I could definitely see it for Nasus. And he's looking to farm for days.
I've seen Storm Raider
Surge a slightly more aggressive build, perhaps. Yes, gets more HP for that.
Surge kind of makes sense on Nasus because
I didn't think about that.
Yeah, you bash him once and my mastery proc, that's crazy.
Right.
I did 1,500 damage.
But see, the same game. So you guys brought this up, and I started thinking about Bond of Stone, and I've also thought about Deathfire Touch on something like Nautilus and stuff, but they don't get enough tankiness out of that. You're kind of giving up a lot by taking Deathfire Touch, but like with E, he can kind of do a lot of damage, and Q and the proc and W will do some damage.
Yeah, but it scales off of your AD and AP though. That's the problem.
I know. That's kind of why it's one of those. I was thinking about maybe taking that, but. Thinking of Bond of Stone, I kind of wonder if that is the route to go if Grasp became to the point rather than Strength of Ages, because 4% damage reduction in lane could potentially negate Grasp, assuming the person takes it. And
or is it 3%?
It's 4%, then 6% you take 6% of the damage from allies.
Yeah.
Okay. And but then, let's say you play someone like Nautilus or Maokai or something, right? And you have that. You are playing more for your team fight skirmishes than you are playing for lane dominance. And now you have added another layer of tankiness to your team and yourself walking into those team fights. And that's why I like it, and I think that Bond of Stone could potentially be used in solo lanes if people played it that way, but Grasp is just too powerful not to take.
Well, I think the other thing is like like I was saying with Poppy, Nautilus also scales off of max health, which I think is really important with that because his shield gets stronger the more max health you have too. Not just because I have a bigger health pool, but it literally is 9 to 17% of max health added to it. So I think it's at least a conversation now, which I'm glad we're even considering because it was auto grasp for a long time, and I think that it's not quite the killing nerf that would have been the 4 seconds in combat with champions. I think that would have been just completely destroyed its whole lane presence because how you were not in combat with champions that often, whereas you were getting it plenty when you can take advantage of the minions, manipulate that a little bit. nerfing it by 0.5% is pretty good. I think that makes it not as strong. Well, of course it makes it not as strong, but I think it makes it at least not an auto take. And I think that's really important.
Makes you think. Thinking's good.
That's weird. We should think about this game?
I know.
God damn it, I'm not in school anymore. I'm not
I want
thinking
my
about
cookie
shit.
cutter flowcharts. That's what I want.
Well,
I don't know. What else do we have? I know we had something else. And by I know, I mean I'm not actually at all certain.
I'm not actually certain. I think we hit all our topics for this evening. We're about 10 minutes short of the hour, but I'm okay with going a little bit of a short episode tonight, considering we're having Skyen on to talk about Tarek. We're prepping for our PAX adventures here. We're, again, next week, only one podcast out of us next week, because you'll be getting a lot of other content out of us. So we're doing a podcast on Monday, no podcast on Wednesday.
Well, we had something for Wednesday. We're gonna put together a
not next
no
week.
next Wednesday. We're gonna put together a so I don't know if you guys remember from a long time ago, we put a small little teaser of Champion Select episodes. We took I think like maybe 15-20 minutes from we only had like 7 episodes at that point
each.
Yeah, we only had like 7 episodes, so it was kind of a good sampler platter of episodes and kind of getting an idea of what you were paying for. And I know a lot of people who are already listening know what they're getting with it. But I think we have a number of very good episodes that have come out since. I think that's what we're going to be doing for this next Wednesday's episode. I don't know which ones we'll put together, but honestly, a lot of the last ones have been towards the upper echelon, I think.
Jin, Syndra.
Jarvan, maybe?
Jarvan will probably go on there. I might do a little bit of Ari, but not likely.
With Syndra, though, I feel
Darius,
like
I'll probably do Darius.
You could do one for each lane pretty easily if you wanted to like do a quick 12-minute and you make it a 6-minute episode.
I think we had Bard, right? Yeah,
we had Bard. Bard was a good one.
I might, yeah, right. That's why I said Ari maybe. I mean, I know that one. Great guest. We've had better podcasts though.
I was not on my game.
Yeah, it was more on Serial. So
tell it 100% me, guys. I'm fired. I just fired myself.
Too many ices.
Yeah, and the Aurelia podcast being the worst one out of them all. People have asked me, where can I find that one? I'm like, guys, you really don't want to listen to that one. In comparison to the others.
The worst guest.
I wasn't, I was the one on there, but it was pretty much just us three doing a normal podcast to give you an idea how these could work. It was more of like a proof of concept.
It was to give us an idea too, because we had no idea what we were doing for the first one.
It was, the Aurelia podcast was proof of concept. You know what? I think I'm going to go find out Aurelia. Oh, shit, we still got to do those for this month. We don't have anything lined up, do we? Fuck.
I'm aware.
Yeah.
I'm on top of it, and by on top of it, I mean I've thought about it.
I've been thinking. I thought about it in the shower the other day. I was like, oh fuck, I gotta help find some guests.
Yeah.
So we're gonna release that, and again, if you guys are listening to this and you're Patreon subscribers, which I would assume that if you are a Patreon subscriber, you are listening. If for whatever reason there's ever a month where 2 of them don't come to you, we will knock 4 out in that next month, and I'll even jump in and help and make sure those get taken care of. And let's say it's July and you ordered it, and then you didn't order it in August, you would still get whatever's coming to you. Replay reviews, coming on the show, anything, right? Like we take care of our Patreon subscribers. So
I'm amazed we're actually caught up as of last month. Like we have 20. We have 20 of those. That's ridiculous. This is our 11th month of Patreon.
Almost 12. Yeah. I've already had 2 meetings with Patreon, with Billy being 11 months in. So thank you guys for your continued support and supporting us. We are using your money to move into PAX here. So cross your fingers, because we are. Let's just hope I don't ever have to make a big post about it. That's all I'm going to say. So we're going to be there, and we're going to be taking care of it. We'll see you guys at PAX. And I hope to have some like really gigantic news for you on this next podcast. I'm gonna keep crossing my fingers.
Are you? So I know that we're pretty close to ending. Are you gonna go put your keyboard in the dryer and see what happens?
I'm not gonna put it in the dryer.
You should try that.
Don't do it.
Maybe in the oven for at 100 degrees.
Dishwasher will clean out with water the beer, and then it'll dry it out. It'll steam clean it.
You know what it'll also do? It'll also just fuck up all those nice little keys.
No, I don't think that. I'm an electrical engineer, and I can confirm that won't happen.
I have it laying upstairs, upside down, letting it drip out. Yeah, I would, Froshy, put it in rice, not ice.
Ice?
but I don't have any ice.
8 out of 10 with rice.
God damn.
I really hope that there's some and anyone who's listening now would have already heard this by now. I hope we have some clips from the first like 7 minutes of this podcast.
Oh, we do.
Of the recording, I should say, where just everything went to shit really quick. Because it's from my like internal counter, because we've heard enough times like how Long Pone says, all right, we're going live, shut up for a while. And I know right when we're about to come in, and it was pretty close to when we're about to go in. And then, hey, welcome to Trinity Force Podcast was, oh shit, oh fuck, oh fuck. And then everything just went terribly wrong.
I'm going to put it at the end of the podcast. So if you listen live, you listen on YouTube, go download the MP3, because I'm going to have Lancifer take that 6 minutes or even like 3 or 5, and I'm going to listen to it and to kind of like cut it out and put it at the very end of this podcast so you can listen to me go, oh fuck, I spilled my beer.
That's fine, because there was a little bit of downtime and we kind of introed ourselves too, and then kind of just talked for a second.
Gave up.
Yeah, we were.
Yeah.
It'd be
Very
a good
quickly.
thing.
We
You guys
weren't
can
trying
end at
very
any
hard.
point in that like 6 minutes. Feel free to stop listening because it might not be worth it.
It might just be worth it for the piece where you're like, yeah, I'm like, fuck, I spilled beer. And then Mary comes downstairs because she heard me screaming. It was great. Anyway. I wish I had better news for you guys, but that's all I got for this evening. It's we are the Trinity Force podcast, part of the Trinity Force Network. Please, by the end of this week, check out trinityforcenetwork.com as we're pushing a new update to it. It took us since we've pushed other updates to it, but we've been doing a lot of behind-the-scenes stuff. You'll notice the front page will be better. You'll notice that coming within a couple, not even a couple months, no, it's within coming a month, we're going to have sub-communities. So you'll be able to go to trinityforcenetwork.com/tforce, for example, and you'll go right to us. And we'll have our own stickies up top. And you can do the same thing with RPG and all that. Like, you'll be able to get your own, so that communities will be on the website. And that that allows us to push into users and whatnot, because we promise people, ad-free pieces on the website and stuff. And I know we were a little bit behind on that, but unfortunately we had to redevelop. So yeah, trinityforcenetwork.com, guys. Check us out by the end of the week. It probably won't be up till Friday, if not Monday, the latest. So that's it. That's Trinity. That's us, the Trinity Force podcast, guys. We're going to probably go play some video games. We'll see you all next week.
See you guys.
See ya.
Not next week, in a couple days. Peace.